So it's earnings season. I don't even have, I've been too busy writing software, so I don't have a ton of, haven't been keeping up with the public markets. We can do a little of that tonight. J&J, it's amazing. Stelara has become a more than $10 billion run rate. It's going to be a top 5 drug on the planet. I don't know if anybody out there takes Stelara, but amazing medicine. It's a psoriasis drug. It's an antibody. And now Spravato, the intranasal ketamine, is almost a blockbuster too. Everyone dogged this drug. Yeah. Everyone was dogging this drug. Everyone was dogging it, saying it wouldn't sell. But you know, it is a bit of a breakthrough. It's one of the first new.
Which is always a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's got some downsides. But it's not no drug. It's not the perfect drug, that's for sure. It is very toxic in many different ways, and it's also it's very short acting.
It's got a crappy half-life.
And the side effect side is you've got addiction, right? You've got, it's not really a half-life thing. I'll explain that in a second. It is and it isn't. But yeah, so on the toxicity side, you can't imagine how many issues this drug has. Addiction, it's got dissociative symptoms, right? The K-hole. And then it's got bladder and urethra toxicity. So you've got 3 really nasty side effects that limit it to only doctor's office use. Intranasal doesn't make it any worse than intravenous. It's in fact a bit safer to do an intranasal because you're doing a very low dose. But it does work. It does work rather well. But the duration of treatment is naturally short because you take the sniff once and then you're not supposed to take it for months. And of course it wears off. You know, most medicine you have to, kind of keep taking. But ketamine's kind of too dangerous to do that. So, ketamine is... yeah, that's right. That's right. That's exactly right. So let's see. There's Carvykti, which is a new cancer drug. It's a so-called CAR-T drug. And here's Darzalax. So J&J has 2 $10 billion drugs. And if you told anybody that Darzalax for multiple myeloma would ever be a $10 billion drug, everyone would laugh at you. And then here it is. One of the biggest drugs on the planet.
What do you think about the hepatitis C medications?
Well, they're mostly have fallen off because all the people that need to be cured have been cured of it. It's a very easy treatment now. It's just great. It used to be really, really bad. I remember when Hep C...
They need to be off from drugs in that period.
Well, I remember Hep C, you used to have to take interferon, which is like this really toxic medicine. And now it's just a bunch of pills and no side effects, just really easy. Hep C destroys your liver. Oh, interferon used to give you this like flu-like symptom. It's like a real long-term, vicious kind of flu-like symptom and depression and all this other stuff. It's like, and you had to do it for 48 weeks. Oh, they're very effective for people who are in pain. They're needed, it's people don't understand how important opioids are to the armamentarium of physicians that rely on opioids. There are just not that many other ways to treat pain, and pain is a serious condition. I mean, people who have cancer pain, people who have...
Mental pain, physical pain, spiritual pain.
That's another story, but for people that have surgeries and things like that, it's kind of important to be able to prescribe opioids. And now, because of, some bad actors and some other circumstances, doctors are very afraid to give opioids. I met a lot of doctors in jail that, that were on the dark side, of this kind of stuff. And, you don't want to be accused of irresponsible prescribing and stuff like that. Big question about COVID vax. I've been vaxxed at least a dozen times. I've gotten Moderna twice. I got the Pfizer-BioNTech twice. I got the J&J, the AstraZeneca. I got boosted. I traveled to China to get their vaccine. I got Sputnik.
Yeah, like I was like thinking, like, what
Need that. I just take them every week. I ain't letting COVID get me. Heavily vaxxed. Johnson & Johnson sold off its consumer business. I was looking futilely for their consumer revenue. They sold it off. They spun it out. So J&J no longer makes Band-Aids. They no longer have Neutrogena. They no longer make baby powder. You know, all that stuff is gone. They spun it off, and J&J is just a drug and medical device company now. I never thought this would happen, but it finally did.
Just a question. How exactly is ketamine works?
Great question. Scientists around the world are puzzled by it. Nobody's really sure. It's allegedly an NMDA receptor antagonist. The NMDA is the
It literally separates like a certain part of your brain from another part of your brain.
yeah. So I'm the expert in this. Thank you very much. It's all right. Nobody's really sure how ketamine works. It's canonically an NMDA receptor antagonist, which is the glutamatergic system of the brain. Glutamate is a neurotransmitter. And by blocking this NMDA channel, there's an ion channel that, you know, allows the permeation of cations into cells in the brain. So by blocking that, you know, there's some kind of response. We don't really know a lot about how the brain works to begin with. Some people speculated that the dissociative properties of ketamine were responsible for its antidepressant effect, and that, in fact, is not true. They've proven that that's not the case. But other NMDA receptors don't seem to cause antidepressant. So, you know, there are a number of mysteries about ketamine, and some perhaps will never be solved. But I do think eventually we'll figure out what is going on and understand it better. It's got some very odd idiosyncratic toxicity to your bladder and urethra. It's very odd, but it's definitely a real thing. If you take it at large doses consistently, you will get bladder tox. But with this intranasal dose, with low dose and intermittent dose, it's very safe. You know, this drug has been FDA approved for 50 years. So it really is not like this unknown entity. But, you know, when it's abused, it can have some very serious side effects.
What about dopamine reuptake inhibition side of ketamine?
Yeah, DRIs are not really thought to be antidepressants, right? So that's the first thing I'd say. There's no DRIs that have ever been approved for depression. There's no really DRIs approved in general other than ADHD drugs. So, you know, ketamine, as I didn't think it was thought to be much of a dopamine receptor reuptake inhibitor. Not receptor, but reuptake inhibitor. Ketamine is not related to MDMA.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably NMDA related. Not MDMA, NDMA, which is yeah, go ahead. NMDA is a receptor in the brain. Ozempic is affecting almost every single publicly traded company. That's like some impact to Ozempic. So if you're an airline company, you're making more money because people are lighter. If you're Hershey's, it's a disaster.
But it's not even that new of a drug, right? Or isn't it like 5 years old or something?
It is. It is.
Recently started.
Yeah, these things. GLP-1s have been around forever. I remember when GLP-1 was discovered.
I heard that Ozempic has like a side chain or something. It's like a slightly nuanced.
Yeah, no, they're all.
It actually is more effective.
They're all nuanced. There's a whole class of like these GLP-1 analogs that have different, you know, long-acting mechanisms and things like that to make
Wait,
them.
is it accurate to say, like, if you go on a caloric deficit, you probably lose 80% fat, like 20% muscle. But when you take these GLP-1s, isn't it almost like 40% muscle, 60% fat? Like you're kind of like taking out your muscles or something?
I don't know. I mean,
sounds pretty weird.
they suppress your appetite, so if you...
I thought I heard they kind of go after your muscles more. It seems like skinny fat. Like you're not actually fat. Yeah, seriously, I agree. But I mean, you're like a 700-pound American.
There aren't too many people who are 7. Thankfully, there aren't too many of those. But yeah, people who are 250 can get to, 200 or 180 pretty quickly with Ozempic, which is great. But it's also very expensive. It's such a very expensive drug. So ultimately, like, we're creating like, groups of haves and have-nots.
So Martin, what's your opinion on Purdue Pharma?
Well, I mean, they're mostly out of business now, right?
Purdue, yeah.
They're kind of out of business, aren't they? I mean, they're not really a company anymore.
Yeah, but they used to make like a lot of money on like mistreating of people.
Yeah, not really.
I'm talking about ketamine, for example.
Not really. They never were a big drug company. I mean, they had one drug, and it was like, 1/4 of one Johnson & Johnson drug was more revenue than their entire year. I think this idea of like diseases of despair is very interesting. It's interesting that 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗏 has just dropped in revenue for quite a while now. But anyway, diseases of despair, I think, is a real thing. Like people who are depressed, they can't find jobs, things like that. They turn to drugs. This is not uncommon at all, I think, and very sad. Yeah, I mean, doctors should know better, and they should have followed the Hippocratic Oath better. I don't think it's all Purdue's fault, when a doctor's running around writing prescriptions to patients he knows don't need opioids. I mean, to just blame...
They really didn't. I don't think they thought it was that bad. They really didn't at first. And I don't think they predicted what was going to happen.
I think they just wanted to make money, like tons of money, and that was the biggest reason.
No, I mean, like, some people take R&D capex in pharmas. Some people don't, take it, like, in different kinds of companies. People have distinctions. So, like, maybe a beverage company. I mean, they don't even do R&D, but...
Yeah, I mean, R&D is one of the weirdest things, because the real question is any of that R&D, actually maintenance of the existing business? And in that case, it's not really R&D. It's kind of like some kind of weird deferred cogs, more than it is...
And then you start to hate accountants, right?
Sorry?
And then you start to hate accountants.
I'm not sure what you're saying, brother. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, yeah, the idea was you hate them because you cannot differentiate stuff.
Yeah, accounting has that issue, right? Where, it's you wish you had more disclosure as an investor, but, you get the financial statements you get, right? If you had more disclosure, it'd be a lot easier to make investment decisions, especially with a company like Apple or something where you have really limited disclosure. It's like not anywhere near, full, you just don't know what's happening, really. I mean, some of these companies give you one line called revenue. Good luck. We don't want you to know anything.
Do you roll over like short-term debt or short-term operating leases before calculating for leverage?
I think that's probably too much detail. If you're doing corporate finance, it's one thing, but for public company finance, I'm not sure that kind of visibility is realistic, but it's certainly a good question. It's just very
negligible, maybe.
Yeah, it's in the weeds. It's a little negligible.
I feel like ever since Netflix got away with raising prices, every company is trying to like squeeze in as much profit as they can with these
It's
subscriptions.
almost like they're capitalists.
Yeah, I mean, but
Well,
but-
ZERP is done, dude.
The problem with Unity is the indie game dev community is all LGBTQ, like very sensitive, you know, left wing woke. And they're like just so upset that this company would be, you know, trying to take advantage of.
yeah, but I feel like Netflix kind of proved it wouldn't cost them as much as they thought it would.
No, dude, it's all explained by ZERP. All these SaaS companies were getting really low interest rate loans, and now they got to pay like big boy bucks, 5%. So all the freebies got to go.
I thought it was just because they changed management at Unity.
Well, they fired the CEO
Yeah,
to somebody's head had to roll.
he's
for
gone
this shit.
now.
Yeah, he's gone.
They had to, heads had to roll.
For the guys saying Netflix raised their prices, we were just talking about how YouTube is cracking down on ad blockers so they can get more of that ad money. I mean, you're going to see this all. Twitter's going to ask $1 a person. They lock down their API. Like, all this freebie drying up because
Well, you know,
not
look
0%
at
interest rates anymore.
just look at Uber. You know,
Airbnb, yeah.
all these companies there, they used to be subsidized by investors, and now it's like, you got to be unit profit economical, unit economical in every way, shape, and form.
I mean, honestly, that's kind of why I'm bearish, because I think a lot of these companies, they actually might need like sub 2% interest rates to even survive. And all the jets are rolling over.
The Uber one is crazy. Like if you go to get, at least in Canada, it's probably about the same in the US, but if you go to get something that's like $11, it comes out to like 22, literally doubling. It's like, brother, I'm not trying to spend that on a churro.
Yeah, it's DoorDash and all that is kind of an incredible